Today's topic is cesarean section. Am I audible? So what is cesarean section? The delivery of a viable fetus through an incision in the abdominal wall and the uterus. The definition does not include removal of fetus from the abdominal cavity in cases of ruptured uterus. WHO recommends an ideal cesarean rate of 15 to 20%, but in most countries it is between 20 to 30%. Now, the rate of C-section in India is approximately 17%. Chhattisgarh, the incidence in private hospital it is 46.6%, and in government hospital it is 5.7%. Why the rates increased? Rate increased due to increase in repeated C-section, difficult instrumental delivery and vaginal breech deliveries are difficult to do. So the new obstetrician, they does not want to go for these difficult deliveries. They prefer to do cesarean section. Increased diagnosis of intrapartum fetal distress. Sometimes there is cesarean on demand. Identification of risk of mother and fetus, then go for cesarean section. There is increase in pregnancies by in vitro fertilization. What are the indications for C-section? It is absolute indication and relative indications. Absolute indication when vaginal delivery is not possible. The causes are central placenta previa, contracted pelvis, advanced carcinoma cervix, vaginal obstruction by any cause, and severe degree of cephalopelvic disproportion. Yeah, na? So it is absolute indication. Now we come to relative indications for C-section. The relative indications are CPD, that is cephalopelvic disproportion. Then previous history of cesarean section. In this, if it is recurrent indication like contracted pelvis, if it is a history of 2 cesarean section, then we have to go for third C-section. Features of scar adhesion and previous classical C-section. In these cases, we have to go for repeat cesarean section. Next indication is fetal distress, dystocia, antepartum hemorrhage, malpresentation, failed induction of labor, bad obstetric history, hypertensive disorders, and medical disorders such as diabetes mellitus, heart disease, and mechanical obstruction. So these are relative indications of cesarean section. So what are the preparation that should be needed before cesarean section? First thing is cross-matched blood. Catheter is induced. Antibiotics prophylaxis. 1 gram of cephalosporin and higher antibiotic. Heparin, not in all cases, but if it is a case of any complication, then we have to give heparin as a thromboprophylaxis. Parts clean with antiseptic solution. That is, first we clean with Savlon, then dry it, then betadine, then dry it, and then with spirit. Then patient should be kept in left lateral position to reduce arteriocaval compression, and that leads to reduced risk of supine hypotension. What anesthesia it is preferable for C-section? Anesthesia may be general anesthesia or regional. Regional anesthesia may be spinal or epidural. There is one thing, Mendelssohn syndrome in general anesthesia given as an emergency. There is a risk of aspiration and that leads to chemical pneumonitis. To counteract antacids given during labor, oral fluid should be withheld and 30 ml of sodium citrate or ringer lactate should be started before surgery. So at least 1 liter of ringer lactate should be administered before surgery to prevent Mendelssohn syndrome. Likely Silix maneuver, endotracheal intubation accompanied by pressure is given to prevent Mendelssohn syndrome. Now we come to what incision we will advise over the abdomen. There are different types of incision. Number one is Pfannenstiel incision, most common use now. It is a transverse incision above the pubic hairline, deepened through subcutaneous tissue up to rectus sheath. Then rectus sheath divided transversely. In Maillard incision, option when the exposure is needed in transverse incision, recti muscles are divided midline vertical incision. So this is the diagram. You can see midline vertical. Yes. So this is midline vertical. This is umbilicus and below the umbilicus midline vertical. This is Maillard incision and this one is Pfannenstiel incision just above the 2 cm above the pubic symphysis. And this one is Joy-Coulomb incision. We prefer to use Pfannenstiel here and sometimes midline vertical. What is the difference between transverse and vertical incision? Cosmetic appeal is more in transverse. Post-operative pain is less. It is more in vertical incision. Wound adhesion is less in transverse, more in vertical. Incisional hernia chances is very less in transverse, it is more in vertical. Technical skill, it's quite difficult to do cesarean section through transverse incision, but with practice it is become normal or common. And vertical incision is quite easy to perform. Time taken usually more in transverse and vertical less time taken. Access to upper abdomen is less. It is good, can be extended. Now come to the procedure. Once the abdomen is open, dextorotation of uterus is corrected. Then Diatom's retractor is introduced to visualize the lower segment. Peritoneum over the lower segment is identified and divided transversely, separated from the bladder by one blunt incision. Then the bladder is separated. Now small incision over the lower segment is given in the center of the lower segment and then it is extended laterally. Sometimes there is inadequate space. In this case, J-shaped incision or inverted T incision can be given. That means we have give one incision transverse, then we just extend this to as a J shape. Or sometimes in transverse incision we give a inverted T incision to extend the incision side and to deliver out the baby. Do not injure uterine vessels laterally, which are usually lying laterally on the incision side. Now how to deliver the baby? In cephalic presentation, Hand slipped into the uterine cavity. Head is elevated out gently. But in cases of floating head, we have to use forceps to deliver the baby. In breech presentation, feet should be hooked out first and rest delivered as vaginal breech delivery. In cases of transverse or oblique lie, that should be corrected to longitudinal lie before making uterine incision, and transverse lie with ruptured membrane and underdeveloped lower segment, extension of uterine incision is sometimes required. That means extended transverse incision extend upwards to make a J-shaped incision, or you can give a inverted T incision. Now then the baby is taken out, placenta and membranes are taken out, and then after completion of all the products are out, then we have to completely close the uterine cavity. So how to close the uterine incision? First thing is oxytocin infusion starts as soon as the baby is delivered out. Uterine fundus contract, placenta and membranes excluded spontaneously, and that should be removed. Whipped with moist pad, ensure uterine cavity is empty and cervical canal should be open. If it is closed, we have to use a Hagar dilator to open the cervical canal, then only this blood is drained out. Then uterine edges held with Ellis forceps or green Armitage forceps. Usually Ellis forceps is used to hold the angle of the incision, and the flaps of the lower uterine segment should be held with green Armitage forceps, and it should be closed in 2 layers with continuous suture. Can be use of chromic catgut or polyglycerine or Vicryl is we used. In cases of chromic catgut, we close it in 2 layers, but now with Vicryl, we usually use to close the uterus in 1 layer. Any bleeding points controlled with figure of 8 sutures. Now closure of abdomen. Sometimes peritoneum is closed or not closed. There is always a discussion between it is closed or not closed. Several studies are there. Some close the peritoneum and some does not close, but the outcome result is same. If we close the peritoneum, there is less chances of adhesion. So better to close the peritoneum. Rectus sheath closed with the non-absorbable suture. Prolene to reduce the wound adhesion and incisional hernia. So usually we close rectus with Vicryl, and in 2 previous scar cases or the abdominal muscles are weak, we use Prolene. Then subcutaneous tissue is closed with catgut. Skin, mattress suture of silk or subcuticular sutures, or you can use clip also to close the skin. Now we come to post-operative care. Close monitoring for first 6 to 8 hours. Parenteral fluids. Blood transfusion if needed. Analgesia and sedatives. Oral fluid. Early ambulation and deep breathing exercises. Light solid diet and laxative after the appearance of bowel sound. That means usually it appears after 24 hours. So light diet or semi-solid diet that should be started only after 24 hours. Discharge following suture removal if it is transverse or subcuticular on 5th or 6th day, and if it is a vertical incision then remove the stitches on 7th day and discharge her on 8th day. Remember this is not written in your book, so you have to remember this thing. Now advantage of C-section, if it is lower segment healing is better and scar rupture is minimum in cases of lower segment cesarean section. Now we come to the other types of cesarean section, that is lower segment vertical incision, classical C-section, that means incision over the upper segment of the uterus, extraperitoneal cesarean section, and cesarean hysterectomy. Lower segment vertical incision indications are when there is constriction ring is present, that means in cases of obstructed labor, lower segment is not formed. Disadvantage: injury to the cervix, vagina, bladder, and there is increased chances of rupture in next pregnancy. Now, classical cesarean indications: lower segment is unapproachable, and if it is a case of CA cervix, sometimes there is anterior placenta previa with previous cesarean section. That means we have not able to reach the lower segment. Transverse lie with ruptured membrane and conjoint vein. In these cases, we have to open the uterus in upper segment. The disadvantage are difficult healing is there, more chances of scar rupture, and general peritonitis chances are more with classical C-section. Extraperitoneal approach is sometimes severe infection. Extraperitoneal approach is ideal and through the stage of RITS. What is cesarean hysterectomy? The cases of severe atonic uterus, then PPH, placenta accreta and pancreata cases, sepsis, multiple large myomas in cases of CS cervix. That means during the time of cesarean delivery, we have to remove the uterus. The complications of cesarean section are intraoperative complication and postoperative complication. Intraoperative complications are primary hemorrhage, injury to internal organ, injury to the baby, difficulty in delivery of head, and anesthetic complications. Primary hemorrhages because of atonic uterus. So in these cases, you have to start oxytocin 20 units in 500 ml of normal saline, or ergometrin 0.25 milligram IM or IV. This is injection methargine. It is not available now. Prostaglandin F2 alpha 250 microgram intramuscular. Or you can give PGE1 200 microgram rectally. In cases of postpartum hemorrhage, the dose is now 8 milligram rectally. Traumatic hemorrhages because of ligation of because of bleeding from the consult vessels, so we have to ligate the vessels. In cases of placenta accreta, it is difficult to remove, so decision should be taken that we can leave the placenta over there and we have to start the methotrexate therapy, or we have to, bleeding is severe, then we have to go for cesarean hysterectomy. Post-operative complications are paralytic ileus, respiratory complications, infections, peritonitis, pelvic abscess, pelvic thrombophlebitis, deep vein thrombosis and pulmonary embolism, and wound adhesion. Late syncope is secondary PPH. That means bleeding occurs after 7 days of C-section. Incisional hernia, scar endometriosis, vesicovaginal fistula, usually in cases of obstructed labor, scar rupture in next pregnancy, placenta previa and placenta accreta in next pregnancy, and there may be chances of bladder injury in next pregnancy because of addition of bladder with the lower uterine segment. Thank you. This is the first lecture for cesarean section. We will go. Now the second topic is previous cesarean section. So the second topic is previous cesarean section. Previous cesarean section is quite prevalent because of liberalization of primary C-section, non-recurrent indications. Once a cesarean section, always a cesarean section, but it is not true. So what is the effect on pregnancy and labor when it is a case of previous cesarean section? So there is increased risk of abortion, preterm labor, pregnancy element complications, operative interference, placenta previa, more chances of adherent placenta, postpartum hemorrhage, and peripartum hysterectomy. So what is the effect of pregnancy on the scar? There is increased risk of scar rupture, more risk of classical or hysterotomy scar than the lower segment scar rupture. That means lower segment scar is less ruptured, as I told you in previous lecture, compared to classical or hysterotomy. Lower segment scar rupture during labor. Yeah. Huh? Classical and hysterotomy scar rupture during late pregnancy and labor. Impairment of healing can usually cause early scar rupture. So if she had a history of cesarean section followed by wound infection, so there are more chances of scar rupture in next pregnancy. Which scar is sound? Lower segment. This is the lower segment incision. This is lower segment vertical incision, and this is lower segment upper incision. You all know lower transverse incision is more sound. Apposition is more perfect in lower segment cesarean section. It is difficult to oppose at thickened musculature in the upper segment. Healing. It is a part of uterus where the incision is made which is inert, so healing is quite good. In classical, part of uterus is contract or retract, so healing is poor. Stretching effect is along the line of the scar, and it is right angle to the scar. That's why there is no proper apposition and so no proper healing. Scar rupture incidence is 0.2% in lower segment and it is 4 to 9% is classical. Mortality is less and mortality is more. So how will you assess integrity of scar? In cases of classical scar, the scar is weak. Scar is more likely to give way during pregnancy and there is increased risk of mother and fetus. These cases should be delivered out by a lower segment cesarean section. And in lower segment transverse incision usually heals better. During the course of labor, the integrity of the scar need to be assessed. High index of suspicion is essential. Factors that to be considered while assessing scar are evidence of scar adhesion during late pregnancy. So previous operative notes are very much informative. Indication of cesarean section What was the indication of cesarean section if it is a case of placenta previa? So there must be a history of imperfect apposition due to the quick surgery, and there may be thrombosis of the placental sinuses, following prolonged labor if the history of previous delivery is the indication was prolonged labor. So there is increased chances of sepsis. Sometimes there is a technically difficult in primary operation leading to tear. It involves the branches of uterine vessels. So each and every thing should be mentioned in the operative notes that will help for to manage the next pregnancy properly. Histography in interconceptional period is ideal. Histography 6 months after the operation may reveal defect in the scar pregnancy. So pregnancy occurring soon after operation, pregnancy complication, history of previous vaginal delivery following LSES, and placenta previa in present pregnancy. So evidence of scar rupture during labor. So we can find out by abnormal CTG. It is the most consistent finding. Suprapubic pain. These are the symptoms. Shoulder tip pain or chest pain or sudden onset of shortness of breath. There is acute onset of scar tenderness, sometimes abnormal vaginal bleeding or hematuria. Hematuria when there is rupture of bladder associated with rupture of uterus. Caseation of uterine contraction which were previously adequate. That means patient is in labor, is a history of previous cesarean section. Now the patient is in labor with good uterine contractions, and now there is no contraction at all. That means this uterus is ruptured. That leads to maternal shock and loss of sensation of presenting birth. Now, integrity of scar, factor to consider. Previous operative notes, that is very important. Indication of operative notes, any difficulties while during removal of baby, and any incision extension and involvement of blood vessels. Defect in scar in inter-pregnancy interval. Short inter-pregnancy interval, more chances of scar rupture. Pregnancy complication like twin polyhydramnias, there is more stretching over the uterine scars and more chances of rupture. Then previous vaginal delivery. Indication of previous C-section, extension of uterine incision in preperioral sepsis is there, again chances of scar rupture. Number of normal vaginal delivery after one C-section or two C-section does not an indicator for good scar. There may be C-section followed by vaginal delivery, but each pregnancy, each normal vaginal delivery weaken the scar. That is, you should know. So, prognosis, previous history of classical LSES or hysterectomy makes the woman vulnerable for uterine rupture. This can increases the maternal mortality to 5% and perinatal mortality to 75%. So, management is emergency hospitalization, onset of labor, scar rupture, or obstetric complication. In these cases, we have to admit her immediately. Investigation and assessment. Mandatory regular antenatal checkup is advised if she is a case of previous C-section. History of pain, tenderness over the scar, or any vaginal bleeding. So we have to do scar tenderness test. That is, patient is in lithotomy position and bladder should be emptied. Just put 2 fingers over the pubic symphysis 2 centimeter above and just try to press over there. Don't ask patient about pain, just saw her face. If there is tenderness, you can see in her face that she is having some pain. So if the test is positive, there is pain, you can feel it. That is scar tenderness test. With this scar tenderness test and small vaginal bleeding with high pulse rate and low blood pressure with urinary symptoms indicative of scar adhesions, and that may lead to scar rupture. Similarly, ultrasonography to assess the integrity of the scar. Myometrial thickness should be more than 3.5. 5 millimeter is normal. If it is less than 5, that means there are chances of rupture. If it is more than 3.5 or up to 3.5 at the time of labor, normal or low risk for uterine rupture. To assess the placental location, absence of subplacental zone, adherent placenta, Doppler and MRI may be done to confirm. Because if we already done the Doppler and MRI, so we will all prepare for any complication before opening the abdomen. Now the management options are admission at 38 weeks if it is one C-section, case assessment, formation of method of delivery, admission at 36 weeks if it is 2 C-section and with other 1 C-section with any other obstacle complication. We have to admit her, plan for lower segment, elective cesarean section or vaginal delivery. If it is absolute indication, go for C-section. If the history of previous C-section with relative indication, we can try for VBAC. Sometimes classical or hysterectomy scar is there, then we have to admit her at 36 weeks and deliver her at 38 weeks by cesarean section. Now management of post-cesarean section pregnancy, manage as high risk. Hospitalization in cases of, as I told you, classical and hysterectomy 36 weeks, 38 weeks if history of lower segment. Mode of delivery, classical with other extension at 38 weeks. LSCS individualized, deliver her at 39 weeks or sometimes total spontaneous or induced normal vaginal delivery. This is a very important topic, that is vaginal birth after previous cesarean section, VBAC. Usually comes in examination. VBAC successful in 70 to 76% cases. Procedures for success are prior non-recurrent indication, that means relative indications, previous vaginal deliveries, estimated fetal weight lesser, higher success rate, spontaneous onset of labor, cervical dilatation or admission if it is more than 4 cm, and interconceptional period is more than 2 years. What are the selective criteria for VBAC? Previous LSCS transverse scar, pelvis is adequate, continued monitoring facilities are possible, availability of resources, informed consent for vaginal delivery. Contraindications for VBAC are previous classical or T-shaped or inverted T-shaped incision, previous uterine rupture, previous 2 or more LSCS, contracted pelvis, other complications and limited resources. So, management of labor and delivery. Blood sample should be taken for hemoglobin, blood grouping and cross-matching. Spontaneous onset of labor is desired. If labor is started, start IV Ringer solution. Monitoring of fetal heart rate and maternal conditions. Plot of autograph at 4 cm of dilatation. If needed, epidural anesthesia can be given. Augmentation by oxytocin selectively and judiciously, because this may lead to rupture of the uterus, and prophylactic forceps or ventouse can be applied, and always exploration of uterus after delivery. What are the benefits of VBAC? Decreased maternal morbidity, hospital stay, need for blood transfusion, risk of abnormal placentation, need of C-section in next pregnancy. Complications of VBACs are maternal complication. There may be scar rupture, risk of hysterotomy, infection, and maternal morbidity. Fetal complications are fetal distress, low of bar, or fetal death. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you, love.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
So C-section and previous C-section are completed. It is very important. Both are very important topic for your theory as well as practical examination. So you should learn properly. Okay, bye.